Salutations everyone, out with the old, in with the new. Here is What Mattered. In the first bit of news today, Raymond Cox, aka Stallion83, his gamer tag on Xbox Live, has breached the 1 million Gamerscore mark. 1 million Gamerscore is the first person to do this. He's held the world record for highest Gamerscore since 2010, I believe, when he just passed like 500,000. So he's accelerated his endeavors in getting as much Gamerscore as possible. The last few years, he has been specifically dedicated to it. His goal was always to hit 1 million, even after he had the world record all to himself. So, I mean, that's pretty big. He had a 10-hour stream just a few days ago when he hit 1 million Gamerscore. At that 10-hour marathon, he garnered 1,840 Gamerscore, I believe, playing a lot of Xbox One games like Plants vs. Zombies, Garden Warfare, and Peggle 2, and got his millionth Gamerscore on a 50 Gamerscore achievement on Titanfall. And it was pretty exciting. He got a lot of people watching on Twitch. You know, he streams these long marathons, and when he hits big milestones such as 1 million Gamerscore, and he says he's not going to stop. This is something that he enjoys, something he's really good at, obviously, and he's going to continue doing. So, as someone who has, like, not even 10% of what this guy's got, it's a lot of hard work and dedication. You know, say what you will about someone's hobby. Everyone has their own different things, but if you're the best in the world at your hobby by a lot, there's really nothing to ridicule there. In the rumor mill, Sony is apparently going to be unveiling a new secret weapon in the next week or so, maybe in just a couple of days. A lot of people, pretty much everyone's speculating that it's going to be Sony's VR headset. A competitor to the Oculus Rift, which, still isn't fully out in production yet. But, it's not surprising that you see them trying to, any company really trying to get a handle on this growing market that everyone seems to, get more and more interested in. Much like 3D was, just a couple of years ago. How everyone was getting crazy about 3D, and then motion control with the Wii was doing huge, and then, the Kinect copied it for Xbox, and the PlayStation Move copied it with Sony, although with much less success than, the other two consoles. And they have the same guys who worked on the Move and the Eye on this headset, reportedly, as well as going to be in charge of the announcement. So it's I don't really know what to think of it. I've actually tried a Sony VR headset, which not a lot of people can say they have. The last time I tried one was 2012 at SDCC, and I gotta say, and this is my picture of it actually right here, the day that I tried it. I don't get the whole virtual reality thing myself. I thought that idea and fad died with the Virtual Boy in the early 90s. But, it's making a resurgence again. Everyone thought 3D was going to be the big thing. We've already seen that almost completely die. And I think virtual reality is just going to be the next thing that everyone's going to be like, oh my gosh, look at this new thing. It's the future, and it's dead. That's just, I think that's what's going to happen. A lot of people are like really looking forward to this Oculus Rift thing, which, has these cool things that people say about it. And virtual reality might be the next thing that, each console has to, try to cater to, at least a little bit with their own peripherals. And Sony is, I don't know if I should say, smart or stupid. It's one or the other to try to get on this, before anyone else, if it does catch on. If it doesn't, that's a lot of loss in R&D and manufacturing, but, not surprised, but I don't know. I don't think it's a very good move, because I don't think virtual reality, I don't know why I can't say that word, I don't think it's going to last, or possibly even, get off to a very good start, regardless of, all the hype around it. It's just one of those things I think everyone says that they want, and when it's finally there, nobody really wants it. And in a whole lot of DC TV show universe news, we have our first full picture of Grant Gustin as the Flash in full costume. The first shot of Matt Ryan as Constantine looks absolutely great. I think he's the perfect candidate for Constantine, which is going to be on NBC. And then you have Gotham also coming out, and then we have The Flash, which is an offshoot from the Arrow on the CW. And there's also talks about, an Hourman series, which is probably a year or two away from happening. But with all this news, people are wondering, ever since the Avengers, everyone's been focused on crossovers and big, meetups of heroes. Is there going to be some sort of crossover between these shows? Obviously, The Flash is an offshoot from the Arrow, and that character was on the Arrow, and now he's going to be on The Flash. So there might be some more crossovers there, and they might want to, pick up other heroes from that large good basis that they have there on the CW. But we also have, conflicting issues in that we have to talk about NBC, who has Constantine, and then Fox, who's going to have Gotham, and, all these different networks. So that's going to be different. Also, Gotham takes place before Batman dons the cape and cowl, so there's really no need to strive there because it's kind of before all of these other series happen chronologically. And also, I think it's important to establish all these shows on their own. They have to be good on their own, and some crossovers might be nice. We saw, Smallville, which really started this whole really successful, really good, superhero TV show genre that, that's where it really started. We saw, a couple other heroes sneak in here and there, like The Flash and Martian Manhunter, and, all their allusions to other parts of the DC universe. That's cool and all, shout outs and throwbacks and stuff. That's really nice. But I think it's not necessary, especially for the DC universe. I think Marvel's success is much more contingent on a shared universe and meetups. I just think that, it's okay if we have some crossovers here and there, but they're not essential, especially on a TV show, and especially for DC characters, which are strong enough to hold up an audience's attention on their own. The next Angry Birds game has been announced, Angry Birds Epic, and it's not the type of game that we've expected to see from Rovio in the Angry Birds franchise. It's always been, the whole slingshot thing with different types of physics and puzzles and characters that we've seen them, use. But this one is actually a turn-based RPG. It looks pretty basic, but I think it's a good step for Rovio and the Angry Birds franchise as a whole, to not just be this one-trick pony kind of a thing that just uses different characters and, slight subtle twists, which have been good to increase the longevity of the Angry Birds game. But I think to, increase it even further would be to step out from that familiar way of playing and, just branch over to something a little different, but it'll still keep this franchise strong and alive, as far as, like product placement and in toys and, the Angry Birds movie that's going to be coming out, broadening the horizons, within a simple, fast, mobile game formula, I think is a good idea. And in DC versus Marvel news, we have another fly in the ointment. The May 6, 2016 date, which Marvel had pegged just a few years ago, we saw that Batman and Superman was taking that spot, and we haven't been told what that Marvel movie is yet. Well, they finally named it. It's going to be Captain America 3, which was announced I actually talked about it a few weeks ago with all the great test screenings of Winter Soldier. So we know what it's going to be now. So are these companies, these long-time rivaled companies, DC and Marvel, the big two comic book franchises in the game, both in, comic books and TV shows and movie-wise, are going to be going head-to-head against each other, at least for now. Everyone expects one of these studios to back down. Neither have said they're going to back down, and they're just like, we're confident and all. It seems like a bold move from Marvel's side, since they hadn't announced this prior to Batman and Superman movie being announced as that title on that date. So I think that gives a little more leeway to DC, even though Marvel got the date beforehand. Everyone expects one of these release dates to be changed, and I expect it to as well, regardless of what the companies are actually saying. Because it's just not a good idea to have two of these, big franchises with a lot of, crossovers of fans who would want to see both, have to decide, at least on the opening weekend, and might affect the box office sales overall. People are saying that it's a smart move for Marvel to stick to this and just have Captain America basically jump on this grenade and absorb as much damage as possible just so that it hurts DC's franchise. Now, I don't know why you would want to say this unless it was like, you know, an all-out real war where you needed a victor, but it's in both the company's interest for both of these franchises to do well. When a DC movie does well, that bodes well for Marvel. When a Marvel movie does well, that bodes well for DC, because they're both, you know, comic book superhero movies, and the people who like one are probably going to like the other, just because that's just how it works. That's just how it works. So one of these companies is probably going to back down. If they don't, that's fine. Most people are still going to see both. Some people might, you know, just see one, and that's really a shame, but those aren't the people that you should care about. But the bottom line is money, and, you know, everyone loves money, regardless of where it comes from. Speaking of Captain America, Chris Evans said that his contract for Marvel is 6 years. He's already done 3 movies, and we know of at least 2 more to come. You know, Captain America 3 and the Avengers 2. And obviously, you know, Avengers 3, which they want to happen, but isn't set in stone yet. So we have a pretty basic good idea about what those next 3 films are going to be. However, Bucky Barnes is signed on for 9 films. Who's Bucky Barnes? He's the Winter Soldier, who's going to make his second appearance in this movie. He was in the first Captain America film, and he's going to be in the second Captain America film. So there's 7 unaccounted for movies, so it's got a lot of people talking and speculating. Are they going to kill off Captain America, as it did in the comics, and have the Winter Soldier become the new Captain America? This would, you know, make sense based off of just those numbers alone. You can't keep Chris Evans forever, like Robert Downey Jr. They've done this, by the time he's done his 6th movie as Captain America, he will have done enough and, you know, want to break from it and has enough money that he doesn't need to, and it would cost the studios increasingly more money to keep him on for each additional film, that it would make sense to just have this guy that you have already signed on for 9 films to take his place, especially since it's canon. But this would be a bit of a shock to me, because it would be the first time ever that a comic book storyline has been directly taken from the page to the big screen. Hasn't been done yet. All the films that you've seen on the big screen, not from the comic books. There have been some things that they've borrowed and altered and, you know, taken from it, but no direct one, you know, plot or really action that big has ever been taken and adapted from the comic books to the movies. So this would be groundbreaking if it actually happened. But it makes sense if it's these contract negotiations turned out to be what we think that they are. And nonetheless, very, very interesting. Are they going to kill off Captain America and have the Winter Soldier replace him, become the new Captain America, as well as the new Captain America in the 3rd or 4th Avengers, and then maybe have, you know, Chris Evans as Captain America come back like he does in the comics? Don't know. Too early to tell, but it's at least fun to think about. Well, that's all I have for you guys this week. Hope you enjoyed. Be sure to click on the links to any of the stories that I mentioned below. In the comments, you can leave, you know, positive or negative comments. I will answer any questions that you have. And stay tuned for next week, as always. Every single Saturday, one of these things comes out. Blah, 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 blah. Later.